Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh gosh, she's okay.
All right, we will go ahead and get started. It is 5:45. Roberta, I'm going to ask your help as people press buttons to speak. If you could call on them since I can't see the buttons in the room, I would
Yep.
appreciate it. Any questions about the update agenda? Right. Any questions about the formal agenda? I'll just do my usual housekeeping. Who would like to read the land acknowledgement tonight?
I can. That's Roberta.
Thank you. And then I have item 7A is the resolution honoring military students. So I have Drew Morris for that one.
Sounds good.
7B is the resolution recognizing the 2025 employees and teams of the year. Do we have a volunteer for that one?
Yes, ma'am, Mayor, I would be honored to do that.
Great.
John.
And then I have 7C, which is National Public Works Week.
I can do that.
Who is that?
Devin.
Thank you. And then I have 7D, which is Teacher Appreciation Week. I have Roberta for that one.
Yep.
All right, I think that's it for resolutions. We don't have any hearings tonight. We do have one action item, 14A, which is amending the code that we're going to talk about tonight, the electric ready and solar ready code.
Madam Mayor,
ahead.
Chris' resolution to offer tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask to amend the agenda to add the resolution for Nurses Week.
For Nurses Week, okay, we can do that. So that'll be item 7E. Can somebody email me a copy of that?
I'll send it over to you.
And Chris, you're going to read that one?
I think
Yes, ma'am.
Crystal said I'll send it.
Okay. And then when I ask if there's any changes to the agenda, then I'll call on you, Chris, to make that motion to amend the agenda to add item 7E, the resolution recognizing Nurses Week.
Correct.
Okay. And then 14A, the code update.
I can do it.
All right, Roberta, I got you. And then we have a TDA meeting afterwards with one action item, which is approving the intergovernmental cooperation agreement between the TDA and the Mile High 1 Metro District.
Read it.
Chris will read it.
Chris will read it. Perfect.
You're kind of
Voice is just not carrying.
you're kind of melting away, Mayor.
It's fading.
Say that again.
Oh, your voice was just kind of melting away.
Oh, okay. I will find a headset while we're working through this and see if I can fix that. Okay. That is it for the formal meeting. So let's move into briefings, the 2026 state legislative update.
Morgan is coming forward, and I believe Peggy is also online.
I am. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tansy. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. Tonight, we're excited to present and provide the last regular state legislative update as the General Assembly adjourns tomorrow. Being mindful of your agenda, we'll jump right in. And so we're going to start with the bills that the city has taken positions on. There's been some changes over the last couple of weeks since we last met. So we'll have Peggy just provide some updates on some key bills. Peggy?
Thank you. Yes, a few bills that we've been following this session that have wrapped up for this legislative session at least. Several of them I expect we will see again next session. We talked during several of our study sessions about the surveillance, search and seizure law enforcement bills. Those bills have all died. Senate Bill 70 was the bill that required law enforcement agencies to use surveillance technology only for lawful public safety purposes or active investigation with specific restrictions, including warrant requirements, and prohibition and limitations on the length of time that data can be kept. The bill also limited what that information could be used for. This bill was killed on the Senate floor. Senator Mobley has said she will bring this bill back next year. And so we do expect that bill to come back next year. I'm going to spend some time with her this summer and talk with her about that bill. Senate Bill 71 was similarly a limitation on the ability of law enforcement to use surveillance technology. This bill was killed in committee. And again, this whole theme of how technology can be used, I think we'll see these bills again next session. And then the third companion bill, 1037, was killed over in the House as well. And this was a limitation on the ability of law enforcement to use third-party information. House Bill 1308, which was a bill that mandated municipalities with populations over 1,000, required them to use lot splitting and allow for lot splitting. This bill was killed in the Senate Local Government Committee, as was House Bill 1114 around maximum minimum lot sizes. I am hopeful that perhaps with a new administration and with the death of these two bills, that perhaps this is an indication that there will be a scaling back of the infringement that we've seen on local control, particularly in the housing space. So I'm sure we'll see some bills moving forward. Housing continues to be an important issue for everybody at the state and local level, but hopefully there will be more thoughtful approaches to how we work in partnership between the state and local governments on affordable housing. We also saw Senate Bill 150, which has been sent to the governor on RTD reform. As you recall, this bill changed the makeup of the board from an elected board to a combination of a 9-person board that will be both elected and appointed. The bill, as it passed, has 4 of those positions appointed by the governor, one from a DRCOG list, with the idea that maybe that will have more representation outside the Denver area. That really was a big theme as this bill worked through the legislature. There was an amendment that was put on that required geographic diversity to try to have less of a focus on Denver. There was an effort in the House. In the Senate, a ridership requirement was pulled out by Senator Mullica. There was an effort in the House to put this back in. And Senator Mullica said, if it comes back over with that put back in, we're going to have problems getting this bill through the Senate. So they kept that out. The bill also pass with a reduction of the signature thresholds from 1,000 required signatures to 250. We may see additional RTD bills next year, but at least they finally got something passed around the reform recommendations that were passed by the RTD Advisory Council. Senate Bill 156, this was the No Kings Act, came late in the session and established a state level cause of action for violations of federal constitutional rights, mirroring federal civil rights laws. The bill allowed injured parties to sue in state courts for deprivation of constitutional rights for anyone acting under color of law. And really, I think the the problem that many legislators found with this bill was that it really included the ability to sue local government, state government, any sort of official. And that really became problematic for the legislature. This bill did not pass, it was killed. But I do expect that if this continues to be a hot issue at the federal level, that we'll probably see some variation of it. And that was kind of the update on the bills that we've been following.
Great, thanks, Peggy. Before we move on, is there any questions on any of these bills? All right, hearing none. We do have just one bill, one additional bill that we're going to speak to tonight. Got introduced somewhat recently here. This is House Bill 1430. Peggy, do you want to give a quick update on 1430, please?
Yeah, and as you recall, this bill was introduced in response to ballot initiative 175. And the ballot initiative has been filed to redirect and require a focusing of funds to be dedicated for roads and bridges. The bill was introduced as a response to this ballot initiative, which looks like it's potentially going to make it onto the ballot in November. And the bill says that if the ballot initiative passes, that there will be a timeout for 4 years. As you can imagine, this has been a hot button issue and a source of great frustration amongst legislators. The bill does look like it is going to pass. It was on, I believe, second reading today in the Senate. Though frankly, all these days are starting to mix together. But I do think it passed second reading today, so it will wrap up tomorrow. And really has been a source of consternation for the legislature. This is just kind of as a side note, you may have also heard there was potentially going to be a natural gas bill that was introduced in response to another ballot initiative. And I think there's a bit of frustration that the legislature's response to some of these ballot initiatives, and we saw it on property tax too, has been to introduce bills to try to put the kibosh on the ballot initiatives, which has been a successful approach, but I think it's becoming something that many at the legislature are frustrated with. So this is one that will get through and get signed by the governor.
Great, thanks, Peggy. That is the list of bills that we plan to discuss, and so just open it up if there's any questions or any other bills that you'd like to discuss.
All right, looks like there's no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All right.
you.
Next on the agenda, we have the code updates.
Yeah, so this, for returning council members, this may be a familiar topic for new council members. This will be a new topic. So this are some provisions to modify the state, our city code based on state law. This is on your agenda tonight as an action item. Previously didn't believe that we needed to take local action to comply with this requirement, and have since learned that we do. And I'll hand it over to, I think, directly to Justin.
Sure, yeah, that'll work for Justin. I guess before we do to Justin, Justin's been with the city for a quarter of a century. Most of you will probably run into him at some point. Justin Nielsen, he's our plans examining supervisor. And then Dennis Schultz, I'll introduce. We stole him from City and County of Denver just at the beginning of the year. So he's our chief building official. So I'll turn it over to Justin for the presentation.
Okay, thank you. So basically what we're trying to do here is modify by amendment, the city ordinance, section 110 or 10182 and 10183. And this is going to adopt by reference the Colorado model electric ready and solar ready code. We had discussed this back when we adopted the 2024 I codes with BCAB and with our non-residential and residential team members as well. And most of all of the jurisdictions are also required to adopt this by the state statute. Basically, what this does is it allows design that will reduce the cost of a future install or future retrofit. If for example, it'll require the roof to provide so much, like 40% of free space for future install of solar panels. Also, it'll require electrical wiring to be brought to gas burning appliances. And also it will require EV chargers, a certain percentage of EV chargers. Now there's 4 different kinds of EV chargers. There can be the actual EV charger install, a ready charger install, a light ready, and there was one other kind. Anyway, there's EV capable. Yeah, that's the one. And basically that's running conduit or wiring and including space in the panel so that doesn't have to be done in the future. Also, there were a few minor conflicts in section 1061 of the city code. And we found that there were a couple of conflicts from when we adopted the code to the city code that we have now. The accessory structure previously had been exempted from permit if it was less than 120 square feet. That moved to 20 or 200 square feet. Fences over 7 feet or under 7 feet are exempted from code. So if they're over 7 feet, they require a building permit instead of 30 inches. Also, door and window replacements are required to meet the energy code. So instead of being exempted from permit, those are now required to get a permit. I think that this cleans up the intent that we had before. It also puts us in line to adopt by the July 1st deadline that the state statute requires. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council?
I have one.
Go ahead.
How does HB 261007 affect anything that we're changing as far as this with the plug-in solar? It was passed 4 days ago, just for your awareness, but so Colorado now legalized plug-in solar, allowing people to actually not have to have the full solar system put onto your roof. It's also known as like porch solar, where you can hook solar panels into a direct inverter, plug it into a circuit into your home, and it actually recharges in that sense. I'm just curious if with us changing any of the code compliance stuff, if that's going to take any kind of effect on that as well.
I'm not familiar with that one, or if we're required to adopt that by the state. This would just be HB 22-1362 that would be included in this action.
We can do some research on that, Councilmember.
Definitely.
Yeah, they interact. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
My understanding is that there are requirements from the utilities for how plug-in solar can be connected to the system, but other than that, there's no building code requirement.
Justin, do you want to also go in number 4 on there? I think is important for the substantial cost differential waiver.
Sure. So yeah, there are some options. If the project has been approved, if it is existing, or if there is substantial cost of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing portions that exceed 1% of the total cost, a waiver or variance can be requested and approved by the CBO to reduce the amount of install down to that 1%. And that would, like I said, that would need to be approved by the CBO. What they'll do is they'll give us a cost analysis of what those items would cost, and then show us how they're going to comply with at least the 1%.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Appreciate it very much. All right, before I move us to the special meeting, is there anything from Tansy or Tammy? Or from the rest of council?
Nothing from me.
All right, I'll go ahead and move us to the special meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mayor Coleman,
Here.
Councilmember Pinto, Councilmember Algie,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala. Here. Councilmember Byrd,
Here.
Councilmember Martinez,
Here.
Councilmember Morris,
Here.
Councilmember Russell,
Here.
Councilmember Salisbury. Here. Almost present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. And noting our rules of order, I cannot participate in the executive session, but I can to get us into the vote for the executive session. So can we please get a purpose of or an overview of the purpose of the executive session?
Yes, today city staff met with representatives of E470 and the Heinz Group regarding issues on the development of the Parterre subdivision, and in particular the Quebec Street overpass. And so we would like to give city council an update in executive session with regard to those negotiations.
Are there any questions? Okay, what would the motion be?
The motion would be for an executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes 24-64024B and E to confer with the city attorney for purposes of receiving legal advice regarding potential strategies going forward related to the ongoing development of the Parterre subdivision and to provide instruction to negotiators regarding the same.
Can I get a motion as stated?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say yes. Yes. Any opposed, please say no. All right, we will move to executive session. I'm going to log off, but if you would, during the formal meeting, same rules for speaking, just hit your button and Mayor Pro Tem will help me out with calling on council members as they have questions.